Erosion and deposition, mass movement, and glaciers. Now, we have discussed that erosion and deposition work in a continuous process that wears down and builds up Earth's surface. Erosion moves weathered rock and soil from one place to another and can be affected by weather, climate, type of rock, and topography of the land. Deposition is the laying down or settling of the eroded material. Last section, we were talking about erosion and deposition with wind and water, while this section we're going to be focusing on mass movement of particles and glaciers and how they impact erosion and deposition. Now, if you've ever heard the news or maybe watched a movie where there was a scene or news report of a large pile of boulders that had fallen down a mountain, or maybe a mudslide, or even an avalanche that has come in down while a skier was skiing, well, these are examples of a mass wasting event. Mass wasting is the downhill movement of a large mass of rocks or soil or material because of the pull of gravity. There are two important parts to mass wasting. Material moves in bulk as a large mass, and this is caused by the movement of gravity. So this isn't something that is moved by underground agents such as water or ice or air. It is gravity just moving the mass as one piece, and this can happen either quickly or gradually. Other examples of mass wasting are landslides, and these might include things called rock falls or slumps or creeps. So while erosion and deposition can be caused by mass wasting events, also glaciers can cause erosion and deposition. A glacier is a large mass of ice that formed on land and it moves slowly across the surface. Glaciers form in land areas where the amount of snowfall is greater than the amount of snow melt. There are two kinds of glaciers, continental glaciers and valley glaciers. A continental glacier covers much of like a large island or even a continent. They can spread out over millions of square kilometers and today cover about 10% of Earth's land. Continental glaciers are able to flow in all directions and they can move and spread out. During periods known as the ice ages, continental glaciers have covered larger parts of Earth's surface. Over millions of years, continental glaciers have advanced or melted back several times. Valley glaciers occur when snow and ice build up high on a mountain valley and the sides of the mountain keep the glaciers from spreading apart in all directions. Now, while they are much smaller than continental glaciers, they can be tens of kilometers long. Valley glaciers flow about a few centimeters to a few meters a day, but sometimes they have these rare surges where the glacier flows quite a few meters in a single day. While an observer may not see a glacier moving, they are, and in doing so are changing the land beneath them, being a major force of erosion. Glaciers erode land, and we explain it in two terms, plucking and abrasion. As the weight of a glacier moves down a mountainside, its weight can break little rocks apart, and while moving, it picks up those rocks in a process which is called plucking. The rock fragments actually freeze to the bottom of the glacier, so when it moves, it carries the rocks with it. And when those rocks on the bottom of the glaciers are moving with it, the glacier continues to drag them across the land and abrasion occurs, forming large gouges and scratches in the bedrock. Once a glacier begins to melt back, much of this sediment and large rocks and soil that they have carried down its path is deposited, creating various landforms. These landforms will remain for thousands of years. The mixture of these sediments that a glacier deposits right at the surface is called till, and it's made up of clay silt, sand, gravel, and even boulders. And when till is deposited at the edge of the glaciers, that forms ridges, and these ridges are called moraines. Other landforms created by retreating glaciers are called kettles, and this happens when a small depression of land forms when a large chunk of ice that has been there for a long time, and then that ice melts, the kettle remains. These kettles will often fill with water, forming small ponds or lakes called kettle lakes. Now this diagram shows many landforms, including the moraines and kettles, but also other glacial features including horns when glaciers carve away the sides of mountains, cirques, or bowl-shaped hollows eroded by glaciers. U-shaped valleys often occur after a glacier scoops it out, or sharp ridges happen between two cirques called the arête. After you have reviewed this illustration, let's take a break, and it's time to show what you know.